Hello everyone, welcome to Current Affairs for Beginners. Before starting our today's session, first we'll see the answers for the questions from our yesterday's video. The first question is, the foundational agreements guide United States high technology cooperation in defense sector with other countries. Which among the following foundational agreement will transfer the secured communication equipment to India? Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement, Communications Compatibility and Security Agreement, Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement, General Security of Military Information Agreement. The answer here is B. It is the Communications Compatibility and Security Agreement, which will facilitate the transfer of high-end secured communication equipment which will be installed on the military platforms that were being sold to India by the United States. Whereas this Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement will make it easier for the militaries of both the countries, that is India and US, to share each other's logistics, like refueling their tanks, utilizing supplies, spare parts and services from each other's land bases. Whereas this Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement will facilitate exchange of geospatial information between India and US. Whereas General Security of Military Information Agreement, this will allow sharing of information from US government as well as US companies with Indian government and Indian public sector undertakings, but not with private companies of India. The next question is, with reference to Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, consider the following statements. It will provide free treatment up to 5 lakh rupees per family per year only in all government hospitals. It is implemented by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The second statement is correct. It is implemented by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Whereas beneficiaries can avail treatment not only in government hospitals, but they can also get the services from private hospitals which were enrolled under this scheme by the government. Not in all private hospitals all over India, only in the private hospitals that were enlisted under this scheme. So as statement 1 is wrong and only 2 is correct, the answer here is B, 2 only. Now let's start our today's session. Our first article is, India faces threat of deadly heat waves, United Nations report. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of environment. From this article, now we are going to learn about this Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Whenever any organization appears in paper, first we'll see what is the motive of this organization, where it is headquartered, when it is established, and what are the functions of this organization. In case if there are any reports that were released by this organization, we'll see those. IPCC, it is an Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This is an intergovernmental body under United Nations. It is headquartered in Geneva of Switzerland. This body is formed in 1988 by United Nations Environment Programme and World Meteorological Organization in order to assess climate change. That means this organization will present a clear view on the present scenario of climate change and its future impact on environment, livelihood and economies of various countries. So if we see what are the functions of this Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This body comprises a group of scientists from various countries to assess this climate change. This body it will not monitor any climate related parameters or data, and it will not even do any research work on climate change. Only thing this body does is it will assess scientific, socio-economic and technical information that is related to climate change. That means it will not do any research on climate change. Only thing it does is it will assess the already existing information on this climate change. Based on this assessment, it will release a comprehensive report on climate change once in every 5 or 6 years. And these reports are called as assessment reports. Till now, it has released 5 assessment reports. Its 4th assessment report has even been awarded with a Nobel Peace Prize. Now it has released a recent report on special report on global warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade. This report is released by this IPCC. As I said that this is an intergovernmental body that works under the United Nations. In United Nations, there is a body called as United Nations Framework on Climate Change. Under this body, this intergovernmental panel on climate change will work with an aim to assess the scientific information that is related to human-induced climate change, impacts of human-induced climate change, and what are the options for adaptation and mitigation of this climate change. These are the functions which this panel is aimed to do. Our next article is Indian Air Force ready at all times. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of science and technology in defense sector. From this article, now we are going to learn about Rafale aircraft and S-400 missile systems. First, we'll see about this Rafale aircraft. Rafale is a 4th generation aircraft with a twin engine and a multi-role fighter aircraft. This is designed by a company called as Dassault. According to this Dassault, this Rafale is capable of carrying out all combat missions like air defense, interception, ground support, in-depth strikes, anti-ship strikes, nuclear attacks, all these. And this Rafale is installed with a radar called as active electronically scanned array. This radar will enable the pilot to look 200 to 400 kilometers away. This will give a striking capability of long range so that the pilot can detect an enemy aircraft and he will share the information and he can also destroy the target. And this aircraft is also installed with an onboard oxygen generation system so that there is no need of refilling oxygen or else taking the ground support for oxygen production. In order to replace the MiG aircrafts, Indian Air Force raised the requirement for medium multi-role combat aircrafts in 2007 itself. So, our India decided to purchase this Rafale from Dassault Aviation of France. But this deal didn't get finalized. In 2015, again, Indian government has signed a deal with France to buy 36 Rafale aircraft from France. Still this deal is going on. In case if Rafale aircraft is inducted into our Indian Air Force, it will give India a superior nuclear strike capability and it will add into our already existing nuclear strike capability aircrafts Sukhoi 30 and Mirage 2000. The next one is S-400. S-400 is a modern long-range surface-to-air missile that is developed by Russia. According to NATO, this S-400 is also known as S-821 Growler. This S-400 Triumph aircraft can engage all types of aerial targets. That means it can attack all types of aerial targets like aircrafts, missiles, unmanned aerial vehicles, that means drones, that are within the range of 400 kilometers and which are at an altitude of up to 30 kilometers. And it is the world's most advanced air defense system that is available till now. And this system is a complex of, that means it is made up of radars, control systems and various types of missiles. So using this complex system, whenever any attack happens, it will target that attack by employing an appropriate missile system to attack the target. It will launch a counter attack and it will neutralize these objects like aircraft or missile or drones. The benefit to India with this S-400 is India has nearly 4,000 kilometer long border. So in order to tighten its air defense mechanism, India has to procure a long-range missile system. So using this S-400 missile system, India can destroy the Pakistani aircrafts even when they are in the airspace itself. So India had recently signed a deal to procure this S-400 with Russia. The next one in this article is GAGAN Shakti 2018. GAGAN Shakti 2018. This GAGAN Shakti is the biggest military exercise that was undertaken by India in order to show its air dominance over the entire area of Indian Ocean region. This exercise was conducted along the borders of Pakistan and China in order to show its military dominance. To conduct this exercise, the Indian Air Force has mobilized more than 1,000 combat, transport and rotary wing aircrafts along with 300 officers and 1,500 airmen with an aim to provide real-time coordination, deployment and employment of air power when there is a short and intense battle scenario. Our next article is 22 ZIKA cases in Rajasthan were reported. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of science. So from this article, now we are going to know about ZIKA virus. ZIKA virus is a vector-borne disease. That means it needs a vector to get transmitted. In this case, the vector is Aedes aegypti mosquito. This is this vector which is also responsible to transmit dengue. And other than this possibility of transmitting the disease, this disease can also spread through blood transfusion and sexual contact. And if we see the effects of this disease, it can cause serious birth defects like neurological disorders and fetal deformation. This fetal deformation is also known as microcephaly. According to this, the infants will be born with abnormally smaller heads than the normal heads. The infants will be born with a smaller head. This is called as microcephaly. Till now, there is no treatment or vaccine that is available to treat this Zika virus. Only way to prevent is to protect ourselves from mosquito bites and by clearing the stagnant water where these mosquitoes can breed. Our next article is Rupee hits fresh low of 74.06 versus dollar. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy. From this article we are going to see about a term called as monetary policy. What is meant by this monetary policy? This monetary policy used to be made by our central bank, that is RBI. I said it is used to be made. That means it was once made by this RBI, but right now we had a special committee called as Monetary Policy Committee to frame this monetary policy. Monetary policy in the sense it is to control money supply in the economy in order to fight both inflation and deflation. Inflation in the sense when there is a general level of rise in prices in the market. Deflation in the sense when there is a general level of decrease in the price of goods and services in the market, which can be controlled by controlling the supply of money. This will be done by our Monetary Policy Committee. Our next article is October starts with heavy FPI selling. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy. From this article now we are going to see about FPI. FPI in the sense foreign portfolio investments. Any investment in India which is not having its source from India. That means the source of that investment, if it is from any other country other than India, it is called as a foreign investment. This foreign money can be invested in India by foreign corporates or nationals of India, that is the non-resident Indians. They can invest in shares, properties or like management of various companies in that way. So based on this process, the government has classified this foreign investment into two types, that is foreign direct investment and the other one is foreign portfolio investment, which is also known as foreign institutional investment. Foreign direct investment in the sense here the nationals or the foreign entities will directly invest into the production and management. That means they will buy a company or else they will involve into the management or production operations of the existing companies by investing in the existing business. For example, take Unilever. Unilever is a foreign company. It has its own subsidiary in India in the name of Hindustan Unilever. We keep seeing all these Ponds, Fair and Lovely, all these products are from Hindustan Unilever. So from this we can say that this foreign direct investment will bring foreign capital, technology as well as management because they are being directly involved into the business. The next one is foreign portfolio investment or foreign institutional investment. According to this foreign portfolio investment, the foreign investors will invest in securities and various other financial assets. This investment will not give the investor any direct ownership on these assets or securities. That means they depend on the value of these assets or securities in the market. So we can say that this foreign portfolio investors, they will only bring the capital but not any technology, or they will not involve into any direct management or production. That means they will not have any direct ownership here. So if we see the difference between these two, here we have seen about this Unilever concept where FDI is investing in the direct business in a foreign country. And the investor will also control his monetary investments and will actively manage in the company issues where he puts his money. Whereas in FPI, he will only purchase the financial assets in the foreign country but will not actively manage those investments or companies. Both these, that is the FDI and FPI, these are usually measured in terms of their percentage of shares they own in a company. According to our existing regulation by our securities market regulator SEBI, the FPI investment in shares of a company should not exceed more than 10% of the total paid up capital of a company. That means out of the total capital of the company, an FPI should have shares less than 10%. Then only it will be qualified as an FPI. Whereas any investment more than 10% of the total paid up capital of a company is considered as foreign direct investment. Here, the foreign investor can directly control, they can have a control in the management of the company. In India, this foreign direct investment, this policy is regulated under an act called as Foreign Exchange Management Act of 2000, and it is governed by Reserve Bank of India, whereas these FIIs were governed by Securities Market Regulator, that is SEBI. A small announcement, students. From past few days we have been hearing about Nobel Prizes. So in order to bring all these at one place, Law Excellence team has decided to provide students with a video on this Nobel Prizes. There you will get all the details regarding this Nobel Prize and in this year who got this award and in which area they were being awarded with this and some other details that we need to know for UPSC. Now let's see our today's questions. Our first question is, consider the following statements. A foreign investment will be qualified as foreign direct investment if it has more than 10% of shares as its investment in a company. A foreign direct investment in India is regulated by SEBI. The next question is, with reference to Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, consider the following statements. It will monitor various climate change parameters and does research on climate change. It functions under United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Try to answer these questions and post your answers in the comment box, and we'll see a detailed explanation for these questions in our tomorrow's video. And you can access notes for this video in our Law Excellence website. Thank you.